Well, hello out there if anyone's watching. Figured I'd log on a few minutes early and just make darn sure everything's working. I've had so many technical issues. Well, I'm not seeing your chats. It looks like someone is chatting, so let me see what I can do here. Always something. I'll be right with you. I'm going to look up chat on my phone and use my phone to monitor the chat. So hang tight. Aha, here we are. I finally got that chat going. I see Anthony Dodge is in here. I just started this a little early because I always have some sort of technical difficulty, and this time was I couldn't see chat, so I've got it up on my phone now. I see Anthony Dodge, Mark at M&M Rails, New Ferris Railroad is here, Ray Bertelson, Clintonville, that's Brian. Midsummer Railway is here. Thank you, Midsummer, for that report that you have picture and audio. Good to know. Thank you, James. You're reporting on that as well. Dave Davis, I don't remember you, Dave. Welcome to the stream and to Sidetrack Sunday. Let's see who else is here. I think that's everybody. I've got to tell you, I've got a really full agenda, and I'm excited about tonight's show. I apologize for how messy it is behind me. I'm not James Dalton at Dundas Junction. He's totally organized and neat. That is not me. So that's the way it is. Oh, hey, I've got chat on YouTube Studio anyway, it looks like, which is good. So maybe I don't have to rely on my phone. So, Mark, I guess I need more from you when you say, "Can we build it?" ? I don't know what that means. I think this group can probably build just about anything they damn well please. But I don't know what you mean by that. Can we build it? Certainly on my agenda is a project that I think that everybody could put on their railroad. That's for sure, without too much work. I don't know how common it is, but we'll see. I'll show you that in a minute. Hello, Brian at the Iron Horse. Thank you for ending your stream before this one began. I appreciate that. Hope you had a good stream. Sorry, I was still getting set up. I've actually got a camera set up for you to look down here on my desktop. That hopefully that will work. Not an absolutely necessary part of the presentation, but wow, Midsummer Railway. Good luck with that and your chemo treatments, man. That's a reminder to all of us how important health is. So I hope you're well and that goes well for you. It's not too difficult and that it's successful. Hello, Dwight. How are you doing, my friend? I missed your live stream either yesterday or today. Again, I couldn't believe it. I saw it online and it had ended like 5 minutes ago. And I couldn't jump onto Dwight's stream. Someday I'll get onto Dwight's stream. I'm not sure when that'll be. You can kind of see behind me some of the, I've got my mic here, which is an old mic from probably a rock and roll band that I bought at a pawn shop. And behind me, you can see my Panasonic, I think it's an S5 II. The mic isn't on, but it's getting power and a feed from feeding to my PC, so we should be able to switch over to that when we start our agenda in about 5 minutes. So, but again, I am excited about tonight's agenda. We've got a lot of I've always got a lot of things to talk about. Never at a loss for words, but today I've got a long agenda that we definitely won't cover with a lot of things that I'm excited about doing. Okay, New Fenris, I see you're saying you stream every other Sunday on the BGN LVR 68 channel at 12 Eastern. I'll keep that in mind. Deep Run, I see James saying hi to you, so I guess you're here. Hello, Count at Chilco River Valley. Good to see you. Thank you for making it here, despite the fact that we're in the heart of tax season and I have barely started my taxes. So after April 15th, seeing John will not be quite as painful, a reminder of my failure to do my duties. My wife and I always owe a huge amount of money because she has her own business, does not pay quarterly, and so we have to write a check for tens of thousands of dollars and pay $1,000 penalty for not filing quarterly. So we're getting to the point where the penalty is high enough that I think we can afford to pay an accountant. So I think Anthony Dodge here is making a Bob the Builder reference. It's not showing up on the studio stream, but let's see. Oh, Al Marr is here. Hello, Al. Glad to see you. Yes, I've had people say Bob the Builder. In fact, my last video, Anthony, I was wearing overalls and I think the hard hat. And so somebody, I think it was Mark at M&M Rails, brought up the Bob the Builder in the comments. So absolutely. Yeah, you can see the shop here is kind of chaotic. That's partly because the workshop room, I haven't been able to get to that. I've been prioritizing that last. And I really probably should have prioritized it first. I've seen or read somewhere, someone recommended, do your workshop first. I did the exact opposite. So I've done my wife's grow room for her plants, which she isn't using yet. But I need to get a much longer breaker bar and start tearing the insulation out of that room. I'm hoping it'll go a little bit faster than I think, and we'll see what happens. Well, we've got a good crew here. We got 2 minutes before liftoff. Hope everybody's had a good weekend and made productive use of it and is planning. Focusing and planning is so important to success in our hobbies and in life that it really is important to take some time and focus on what you're accomplishing. I don't think I've ever shared it here, but I have a poster that is the weeks of my life. And every Sunday after the live stream, when I do it, or after the live stream, even when I'm in chat, I cross off another week, and it gives me a moment to think, did I achieve what I plan to achieve this week? And what am I going to do next week? Because time is fleeting. We have a limited amount of time for it. So it's a good reminder to focus. Good reminder to focus. A little grim because it's all black. Fade to black, kind of. I color in each week from white to black. And the positive part of that poster is it does project a lifespan of, I think, 87 years, and I probably won't make it that far. So it's still a little bit on the positive side. Just seeing who else is here, who I've maybe missed. For those of you who live stream, a lot of you use StreamYard. I know James at Dundas Junction is going to talk about the duck, and I'm a real contrarian when it comes to technology. For example, I use Google Voice for my phone service, which is kind of a pain in the ass at times. And so one of my contrarian ways is I refuse to use StreamYard, which would probably be better, easier, and I believe it also provides a participant list. Okay, Clintonville, just hang in there, man. Take your meds, do what your doctor orders, so we can see you every week on the stream. I can't remember what I was talking about, so I guess I'll probably come back to it. Or maybe not. Oh, it was a premiere, Brian. Cool. Well, I hope it went well. Maybe I can go back and look at it on the replay. So, okay. We're past 8 o'clock. So I'm going to kick this off by showing you all the agenda. I'm going to try and get this set up here. Let me go to the monitor stream here. Well, it won't go to the monitor stream. Close that, maybe. There we go. All right. YouTube is a memory hog for sure. Okay, so I will show you here. Sorry, I know this. There we go. We can make that a little bit bigger for you. So this is my tentative agenda. Now, first is an apology. My last stream was absolutely terrible. And I had a lot of technical difficulties. I was in a hotel lobby area. I think the picture quality was really bad. Audio may not have been good. It took me 20 whole minutes to get onto the onto the stream at all, and a lot of you stuck around, even though, and I'm sure you enjoyed chatting with each other, but it thank you for doing that, and I apologize for how crappy that was. The first thing we're going to talk about, and I'll show you a little bit about what I screwed up on the live stream on my mobile device as a first thing. And then the next thing we're going to talk about is a hobby-related project, Relax with a Hobby, that is based on Esther's Hobby Shop here in Pittsburgh. I'm recreating something there, an iconic item there. I'll show you what that is and how I intend to proceed. Then we're going to have Tweezer talk on tool time. We'll talk about tweezers. I have a pair of tweezers I got that I really love, and I think you will too. And I want to hear about your hemostats, your heat sinks, whatever else it is that you're using. Hello, Ray. Good to see you. Glad you made it. Glad you survived the yard work that I know you were doing. Then we're going to go over my photo laminated structure build and the status of that. I'm really happy with how it's coming out. It's not a Craftsman kit. You can't light it inside. It's got limitations, but everything on the layout probably isn't going to be model contest quality. There are a few who can manage that, but I'm not one of those guys. So I really like how it's coming out. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Kasgro rail lines, who do specialty cars moving heavy equipment. And they're really the only game in town. They've ended up buying the heavy flat car fleets of most of the major railroads. It's kind of crazy. So, and I have a model of that. I have a long story to tell about that. Then if we have time, we're going to talk about a pedestrian crossing right down the road here, unsignaled, but I think it's something that you can really easily add to almost any layout. If we need more time, I've got more tools to talk about and lots of other things to talk about. Thank you, Trackside Mike. Good to see you here. Thank you for reminding people to hit the like button. I really appreciate that. So here we go. I'm going to now talk about, first I'm going to show you what I screwed up. Hopefully I've got this. Doesn't look like I have it. Okay, well, I am going to instead transition to Esther's Hobby Shop. So Esther's Hobby Shop is the local hobby shop here on the North Shore of the Allegheny. There may be other hobby shops in Pittsburgh, but this shop is only a few miles from my house. It's in Millvale, Pennsylvania. And on the left and on the right in this picture is Bob. On the left in this picture is his son, Bob. The senior Bob was always at the shop in a shirt and tie, and he died in his 90s. Great guy. Younger Bob is on the left there. Also a great guy, but the shop is got some pretty limited hours. And so I don't know how long it's going to be open, frankly. And I think Bob Jr. is getting ready to retire. But one of the iconic things about Esther's Hobby Shop is it has this bench in front of it. In fact, there's a mural painted in Millvale about the town, and Relax with a Hobby is featured on the mural that's painted as you enter town off of the 28. So it's that important to the town. And so I am going to recreate this bench. And Bob Jr. knew I was planning on doing it. But I went in the other day and I said, truthfully, I've got a line on a church pew. And I do. I've got to be sure I can move it. It may be very heavy. It's a lot longer than the one in front of Esther's. But not crazy long, 7 feet long. So I'm going to recreate this sign. And this bench, rather. I'm going to paint the bench white. I'm going to keep it outside my shop. Maybe position in a place where I can watch trains sitting on that pew. I don't know. But at any rate, it's hobby related. I think it's going to be a fun project. And here, I think you can see one of the unique things about this sign is that the A with A hobby is a triangular letter A. Bob Jr. gave me the original stencils, which are cut out of this thin gauge plywood, to make this sign. And so I have these original stencils. Here's the words with and hobby. So I have those stencils. So I am going to actually recreate this bench. You know, I'll get the pew, I'll carve these letters, probably using a Dremel tool. I don't know. It's an interesting project. I guess you could use a router, and I do have a router, but I'll probably just use a Dremel tool. I think it's going to be easier. I'm more familiar with the tool. And so I'm going to recreate this bench outside my shop. Kind of a crazy project, I know. But I just thought I'd share it with you. Unfortunately, it's an example of how having a separate structure for your hobby space can create some distractions. If I was in my basement, I would not be doing this project. So, but at any rate, that is the Relax with a Hobby project from Esther's Hobbies. And I'm really looking forward to doing that. I'm hoping to buy the pew on Wednesday, assuming the current owner thinks I can move it solo. We'll have to see. Otherwise, I'll have to get a buddy to come with me to help me move it. But there's that project. So now, I am going to try to switch over to my live view. So you all have seen the agenda. You don't need to see that anymore. But now we're going to talk about tweezers, and I would love to see hear from you in the chat about your favorite tweezers. But recently, and hopefully I can get the there we go. I don't know if I may have to get a lot closer to the camera to. I was getting it to focus. Well, not doing such a great job. But I think you can see these are painted black. These are Tweezer Man tweezers I got off Amazon. They're pretty expensive, like 15 to 20 bucks each. But the really good thing about these tweezers is that this, and I don't know if you can, how well you can see that. I'm on camera. I'm trying to get it to focus. But these, the jaws on these tweezers are very carefully machined and hand-tuned so that when they close, that the entire length of the angled jaw touches. They're not rounded, crappily formed, don't really grip evenly. So these are, they're really highly recommended. I guess you can probably see it better if I just put it down here. See if I can get the camera to focus on it down there. Anyway, there you go. So you can kind of see what those look like. I think these are going to be great. Admittedly, I did buy these for personal hygiene purposes, but I'm probably going to move them here to the shop or buy another pair because they just look like they're going to work great. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that, Rusty, and what those tweezers are like. And I'd love to know from you all, do you like these kind of angled point on the tweezers? Do you like the really sharp point? Unfortunately, I keep sticking myself with the sharp point. I have some really sharp tweezers And I don't really find that ultra pointy end to be very usable. Maybe it's because I lack dexterity and good eyesight. I don't know. But, oh, okay, Anthony, you have the Tweezer Man set as well? Yeah, I think they're absolutely awesome. The only other tweezers that I came up with close before the start of the show, and I have quite a few more, were these, which are kind of square jawed and a little bit larger and coarser than the Tweezer Man. But I use this to remove and reinstall micro SD cards on my drone and some of my action cameras. So there's always a use. And I don't know if Dave at DB Tech is here. Oh, Lee Valley Tool. I've not heard of Lee Valley Tools, James. So if you could give us some more information about that, I'd appreciate it. Do they have a website? Do you recommend them? That would be great to know. You know, there's the tool man who's at a lot of shows. He's at International Plastic Model Society shows. He's at certainly NMRA national and regional shows in Texas. I think he's from Fort Worth. I'm not sure. He's there, but you know his tools they're okay. I got some wire strippers there that I thought were great, and maybe I'll talk about those in another show. But a good source of tools would be awesome. And of course, I did go over in a previous show a website that has great tools as well. I had those that razor saw that I demonstrated. So, right, James. Yeah, you do have to be a moderator, I think, to be able to share a website. But David DB Tech, I'm glad to see you're here, and I would like to hear your take on hemostats and also on heat sinks. And what do you use a hemostat for heat sink purposes? I think that's another modeling related purpose that these could serve. Now, I don't want to insult anybody, but let's talk quickly about the difference between tweezers and hemostats. Hemostats are naturally in the closed position. If you let go of them, they're closed. You have to squeeze them to open them. Tweezers are the opposite. They're naturally open, and you have to squeeze them to close and then hold them shut in order for them to be closed. In case you haven't heard the word hemostat, that's what that is, and that's what the difference is between tweezers and hemostats. Right, Rusty. So what you're talking about, apply pressure to release, that's a hemostat. Very useful. Almost more useful than tweezers, frankly. Depends upon the application. And if you have something to say about that, Rusty, feel free to put that in the chat about how you use a hemostat versus tweezers. That would be great to know. One is curved. I see. So it's kind of curved downward. In other words, when you squeeze it, the jaws go down, so you can kind of reach into recessed areas. Dave, is that where that curve comes in? So it's kind of, I don't know. I can't really, kind of like that, I guess. I don't know. I'm having difficulty demonstrating that. All right, I'm trying to keep up with chat on my phone again. I had to close YouTube over here because taking up too much memory, I couldn't operate Prism Live with YouTube running. So, but I think I'm pretty up to date. Yeah, I don't know the difference between a hemostat and a microclamp, Ed, at Tappy Val. I don't know that there is a real difference there. You're right. I don't know that a hemostat applies a whole lot of pressure. The pressure is not adjustable. So that would probably be a difference between a hemostat and a microclamp. So, right. James, I refuse to go back to the duck. Darn it! I might. I may have to. I don't even go back. I never use StreamYard, so I don't. I'm not really going back, but I'm just trying to, a little bit. I'm taking umbrage at the cost of StreamYard. To get full functionality, you got to pay. Prism Live is free. So, at any rate, so that's Tweezer talk. I don't know if anybody has anything more to add about tweezers. Missy, hello there. We haven't seen you in a while. I hope all is well with you and your husband and that everything's copacetic. Tell us what you're working on. Are you doing anything model railroad hobby-wise or other hobby-wise? It'd be great to hear that. Joe Rader, I didn't say hello. I didn't see you here, sir. Welcome aboard. Always good to see you. You're always an inspiration. Okay, so the next item on my agenda is Kasgro, and that's Kasgro, Kasgro rail lines. So I'm going to exit. And then I'm going to get over to. Now, my interest in Kasgro started. Let me see. I got to refresh this. Here we go. Started in 2007 when I was out rail fanning in Irving, Texas, and I saw this depressed center flat car carrying this transformer load. Nobody in the area. I could climb all over this car. Of course, I didn't touch it, but I could take all the pictures of this that I wanted, and so I did. And I had no idea at the time that I took these pictures that, in fact, Walthers makes a model, pretty sure it was Walthers, made a flat car, HO flat car, of this, not exactly this car, but one in the same series. And so, oops, sorry. And so I'm just trying to show you a few of the pictures I took. So I embarked upon a scratch building project, and I took measurements from my photographs that it would make the transformer exactly the right size. I did, and then it didn't fit on the flat car model. I don't know whether the Walthers car is a little bit out of scale or what the story is, but at any rate, I got the shell of this transformer built, and then it didn't fit on the car, and it became a shelf queen. So I really do need to pick that up and redo it, remake the transformer, about a quarter of an inch shorter, and it'll fit on the Walthers car. That'll be my first Kasgro model. I think that's it, yeah. So Kasgro Rail Lines is a company located in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. So it's right 40 minutes away from me here in Pennsylvania. And over the years, they have acquired the heavyweight flat car fleets of Norfolk Southern, CSX, I can't remember how many. There's several other railroads, and they have become kind of the go-to provider for these heavyweight flat cars. The press center, they built a Schnabel car, which apparently is the largest Schnabel car in the world. They just have a lot of different cars available. And their slogan is red and ready. And let me see, I've got some additional pictures, I think. I'm just scanning here to see what I've got. Well, I didn't bring over the. I'm planning on going up there, up to Newcastle, and I will. I've got a lot of pictures of their cars. So this is a 16-axle depressed center flat car. I think it's a 40-foot bed on it. It's 450-ton capacity. And I have a model of this car that I can build, and I'll talk about that in a minute. In fact, I'll talk about that now. And hey, I realized that, these special purpose cars, I get it, building a layout, you want to focus on the commonplace, not on the extraordinary, because your layout becomes more toy-like. And certainly these cars can contribute to that. I get that, but it's just irresistible to me. They are so cool. Also, oddly enough, this is not a red car. I thought their slogan was red and ready. It's not a red car, and I believe the Schaumel car they built is dark blue. I don't know. So they're kind of losing focus on their branding. Right, Dave. And transformer loads are a big payload for these things. They definitely carry a lot of transformers and other large industrial equipment. So there are some resin kits that were made of these cars. In fact, they were so good that the guy who made these things was selling completed models back to Kasgro for executive desks and whatnot. And I bought 2 of those kits, and I've whined about this. I know Anthony Dodge thought he found the Facebook group for the company, but it wasn't the Facebook group for the company. The company is called Railfan Models. I've done a ton of research looking for Railfan models, but I couldn't find it. Their website is shut down, and the real drama with this is the kits are large, expensive, complex, and his instructions were all on his website. So I don't have the instructions for these cars. Which, Dwight, I see you 3D printed a car like this. I'd like to see more. I may have missed an earlier part of the chat, but I would like to see more about that. Nissy, I hope you're doing okay. It looks like you might be having some health issues. I'm sure I speak for everybody when I say we wish you well. Take care of yourself. Obviously, that's more important than anything else in life, including a hobby. Although hopefully we can provide a little bit of a distraction for you. So, I was having trouble reaching Railfan Models, and I still may not have reached them. But to give you an idea of the kind of company this guy ran, when I ordered one of his kits, and I want to say this kit was like $300, very expensive kit, he noticed that he had left out one grab iron. One grab iron. Like, I can't make my own grab iron if I can make this kit, right? But at any rate, he sent me a letter, and it contained that one grab iron. I haven't even opened the letter, but fortunately, it had a return address label on it. I guess you can kind of see that. There we go. And so I kept it all these years. It was postmarked January of 2022. I kept this in a box with the kit. Never opened it, but it had a return address label. So I sent him a letter last week, and I'm hoping that I can get these instructions. And I'm going to open the kit up and show you a little bit about it in a minute. But let's look again. These are all shots of the 2 styles of car that I actually have kits of. So that's, again, I think the 16-axle model. Another shot of one with a transformer load on it, blue, disappointingly. Boy, that looks like the Mojave Desert to me, one of my favorite places on the planet. And this, again, is that 16-axle car. Just checking chat there. Here's the other end of the car. So these are all off railroadpicturearchives.net. It's interesting, there wasn't anything really current. And this is a 12-axle car. This is the other one that I have a kit of, 12-axle car. I think it's got a 30-foot bed, and it's a 350-ton capacity, and fortunately, it's red. So, but again, a pretty cool-looking car, lots of great weathering on this particular example. I'm really looking forward to going up to Newcastle. The reports are that the cars are parked all over Newcastle in holding. I've looked on Google Earth. I haven't really seen them that way. But there definitely were the Schnabel car and another car were at the headquarters of Kasgro. It's on Rundle Road in Newcastle if you want to look it up. But you can see it's these are interesting cars, a lot of fun to build the payload. So I'm really looking forward to getting into that. Another shot of the 12-axle car class. Big kits. All right. So now I am going to switch back over to live view. And we will open up one of these kits. Now, fair warning, I did open this kit up years ago. But I have not opened this kit since I moved to Pennsylvania. It spent a lot of time in a container with my other hobby materials. So I have no idea how it survived, whether it's been warped. It's all resin castings. So hopefully I can get this in a position where you all can kind of get some idea of what it looks like. And to give you an idea of Railfan Model's thoroughness, they intend the box to be the way that you would store the model for transport. So the foam is cut in a way that you can put your finished model inside of the box and store it. So it is resin casting, so I'm kind of hoping I'll find instructions in here, but I don't think I will. So here's his packing list. Okay, so this is not a part of the actual kit. I'm sorry, I got to keep it. This is actually a transformer load model. So I could potentially figure out how to do this. Let me get this to focus a little bit better. Hopefully I can. There we go. So this is actually a transformer load model. I have a second one, so I'm recognizing the packaging. I think there were 2 or 3 different style loads that he provided. Here's the wheel sets that he provided. 38-inch wheels. Here are grab irons and hand wheels in package E. I have the instructions. That would be, at least it's somewhat helpful. I can start with A and work my way through in alphabetical order. Here's package D. It looks like this is some of the end steps, among other things that I can see in this particular package. I'm working my way down to the body of the car, which I think will be the most interesting thing to look at. Again, more either resin castings or 3D prints. This is interesting. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but the springs inside the truck frames, are either printed in a different color or they actually have springs installed in them already. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. And these look like these are some of the bolsters underneath the car. I guess I might be able to figure out how to do this without instructions. I'm not sure. Okay, here's another couple of, just screws, couplers, some detail panels here. More of the frame of the car. All right, and now the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm going to finally remove the car body itself. So there's the car body. You can see it's got some nice detail on the bed here. You can kind of see that. Honestly, I'm excited. It does not look like it warped. So this kit looks like it's buildable. This is really cleanly cast. I don't see a lot of flash on it at all. So I think this is very buildable. I can't tell you where where this lies on my my kit construction timeline, because I've got 1,000 things to do and layout bench work to build first. But I'm a model builder at heart, and so this is really appealing to me. Now, the one thing that I will say about this is I suspect that this thing flexes under load, and it's kind of cast in the unloaded condition, I think. It's not really flat across here because it probably has kind of a spring action to it. Either that or it did warp. So I may try to straighten that out using the time-honored hot water technique and see if I can get that to straighten out. It may have been part of the original casting, or it may not. It may have actually warped. I don't know I think you all can kind of see that. There we go. So you can see it's got a little bit of a bend to it. Very even bend, but it does have a little bit of bend to that bed. And I suspect that I'll want to try and take that out. So that's an example of a railfan models. I don't know, this is there's some very fine resin castings inside here. And by the way, I do think these are resin castings. I don't think these are 3D printed. This is very heavy. It's got a piece of metal in the bed to weight the car. That's cast right inside. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it actually has a sheet of metal. I can kind of see that. It runs the whole length of the car actually inside there. So interesting product, and I'm really sorry that the guy who creates these kits didn't make it, because he creates really amazing, and I've seen these built up. They're just fantastic. Okay, thank you, Ed. They're curved when empty and will be flat when loaded in real life. Yeah, Ray, that's what I thought. So if I want to build it empty, it's good the way it is. If I want to build it full, I'm going to have to try and bend it straight because the load is just going to be rocking on that curve, right? So that's not going to be good. So sorry, Clintonville, I can't help you with that question. I'm going cold rail on my next layout to avoid some of those complexities. So there you have it. That is a Railfan Models Kasgro heavy-duty flat car model. I think it's pretty cool. You're going to have to bear with me while I put this away. For just a few moments, I'm going to channel my inner James Galton and actually clean up before I move on to the next stage. And of course, I knocked the smallest bag of parts onto the floor. Excuse me. All right. So that was the 12-axle cars. It says here on the top of the box, 12-axle depressed deck flat car. The other model that I have, which is a 16-axle, comes in two separate boxes. The end units are in one box. The main body is in another. Because it's kind of a 3-unit kind of a thing. This is a one-unit car. So there we go. Yeah, and honestly, guys, that thing is so solid. Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's a good point. The interior of that is metal. So soaking it in hot water isn't going to help. You can do that to kind of straighten out a resin casting, and I've done that with airplane models. But I'm not sure I can flatten that deck out. You know, maybe his bespoke or custom loads accommodate that and have a little curve built in. Maybe I could sand a little curve into the base of the transformer and just leave it unrealistically bowed upward. I don't know. But yeah, the website, I can't. I'd love to log on and print out the instructions for that kit. But honestly, I think with the amount of photos I have, I can probably build it without instructions, but it sure would be a lot easier and a comfort if I had the instructions. So the more complicated these cars get, the more difficult that job is going to be. So, okay, well, I jumped ahead because I said that one of the topics that I was going to cover was my 151 coffee shop photo laminated structure build. And I've made significant progress on this build even since my last community post. So in that, I have applied the awnings that go over where the cars pull in when people are getting coffee. Sorry, let me hold that out there a little bit. So I have the awnings installed. Now the awnings slope down a little too much. You know, I thought I would, instead of 90 degrees, I thought I'd go to 80 degrees, and that was too far. Probably should have gone to 85 because I have the Ultimation sander, so I can be very precise about how I do these angles, and I did it at 80 degrees, and it was really too much. But, you know, I'm probably one of the only people who would know that. And I think you can see from the way the light is reflecting off here, I have a problem. I had something leak, but I used Krylon gloss spray on the glass window areas, and you can see how reflective that is. This end of the building is almost completely glass, so it's reflective. This side as well has reflective area that's mostly glass. So I was happy with how that turned out. Oh, and you can see underneath these awnings, I've applied the wood planking and simulated the lights with white dots. So those are pretty much ready to go. I just need to stretch some sprue and put the cables that hold this in place on the real example. So I'm happy with how that came out. Now, here's the roof. I used a marker to color the outer edge black, which is on the real one. I wish I had better paint markers. What paint markers do you all recommend? I just used just an artist's gray pen, the kind of thing that I used on the rest of the model. You know, one of the tricks of doing cardboard models or paper models, or in this case, paper lamination, is coloring the edge. Once you've cut the pictures out, you want to take a pen and make the edge of the photo black. Otherwise, it's going to jump out and look really bad. And so I use that pen also. Let me move this out here where you can still see it a little bit better. Now, one of the negative things you'll notice about this is how dark the front of the building is. That's because it was in shadow when I took the pictures, and I couldn't really get it to brighten up using photo editing software. I did brighten it up a little bit, but it's still dark compared to the side of the building. You can see the shadow line going across the 151 there. One of the keys of getting photos to use when you're doing photo lamination is to do it on a cloudy day. Here in Pittsburgh, that's just about every day of the year. In Texas, not so much where this is located. So I ended up taking it on a fairly sunny day. It was kind of around noon. I don't know what would have been best. But at any rate, those are a few of the things I've learned about this. So the roof here, you can see it's made of corrugated material. I still need to add 3 roof vents. There's a gutter in the back here, which I simulated with C-channel strip plastic. And I'll have to drill a hole and put a gutter in there. There's just one gutter in the whole building, and it runs down the back of the structure. And on the back of it, you can see I used black styrene to make the core of the building. And I've applied paper printouts of the planking and the lights that appear on the original. They're not exactly the same number of lights and exactly the same placement, but close enough. And that really, and honestly, that really, yeah, I am looking at the chat. Sorry, Anthony, if I missed something. My chat is not showing on my screen here that when I'm looking at the camera. And so I have to glance down at my phone to see it. If I missed a comment from you, sorry, apologize. Please, I hate to make you repeat yourself, but if you, I'll pay attention. I will. Oh, I like that comment on trying to straighten out that flat car bed, Dwight. I might give that a try. I think that's a fairly easy thing to do. So I'm almost at the point where I can glue the roof on. I want to install the cables here first, and then I will probably glue the roof on. And speaking of gluing, I built the styrene core using normal Tamiya or Tamiya liquid cement and things like that. Pretty basic stuff. But for applying all the photographs, I used this Tight Bond Quick and Thick. And Boxcar Jerry recommended this for woodworking, working on the bench work, and it really is a lot thicker than regular wood glue, and it does dry. Within 15 minutes, it's dry. 24 hours for maximum strength, but 15 minutes and it's dry. And it is recommended for crafts, different kinds of materials. It looks a lot like white glue, but this is what I used. And I will tell you, however, that I did have a problem. I came back to the shop the other day, and one of these awnings had fallen off. And the awnings are actually glued to the photograph. Hadn't done any damage to the photograph at all, but the glue had not adhered, so I just took a really sharp X-Acto knife and scored that area and reattached it. And so far, it's working okay. But I will probably use that same technique here. And I measured out the area where so the building should fit right inside this. So I could potentially use styrene glue or CA to glue the roof on. We'll see. I am trying to look at the chat, guys. I'm trying. And it's just my bad. Yeah, and I saw your comment about adding weight to the load, Anthony, at GSP. That thing is so stiff. I don't think it's going to bend. I don't think it's going to bend under any kind of weight that I could put inside the load. I don't think it would work. It's very, very stiff. Yeah, sorry about the chat problems, guys. This is one technical thing I've got to work out. I could get the chat up, but I had to be running YouTube on my PC in addition to Prism Live, and I just don't have the processing power. And so Prism Live was freezing up. So I had to shut down YouTube and rely on my phone to look at the chat. So I'll do my best to look at the chat. I'm not deliberately trying to ignore you guys. I'm just on a roll here talking about my projects. But so I apologize because your contributions and your participation are very important. So sorry about that, Dwight. Steve87 at JD, I see you guys are in the house. Glad to see you. Prism Live, as far as I know, does not give me a list of chat participants, especially when it's not showing the chat at all. So my apologies if I've missed anybody. So that's kind of the status of this project so far. Now, what I am going to do to enhance this, there are a few things that I want to give it some raised relief. And let me see, let me pull up, I'll show it to you after I show you the pieces here in the live view. But so I have a 151. Unfortunately, it's stuck to my work surface, so I'm going to have to get a red pen and color in this white area. But this is the large 151 on the side of the building. On the side of the building away from the highway, it doesn't have a 151 on it, but it does have one on the back. But I've glued this to a piece of that black styrene, so it's going to have a little 3D effect when I apply it to the side of the building. So I'm just going to cover up the, see if I can get this to focus here. There we go. I'm just going to slide this on top, and it's going to have a little bit more of a raised effect. So, and I also have the word coffee printed out, and I'm going to have that raised as well. And you can see here on the back of the building, there's a smaller 151 and a smaller word coffee. I'm going to do the same treatment there. And these power boxes, I'm going to also do those. And then there are a couple of exterior security lights to the right and the left of the word coffee that I took off my photo, but I'm going to slap those on there, probably simulate a light up inside there, maybe slightly projecting out, just a little dab of, maybe PVA that dries clear, just so that it looks a little bit like a light on the back. So do those things to give it a little more three-dimensional effect. And then I will call it done, as Boily Hobby Time says. I will call it done. And I will certainly have a video about the project and also a second video about kind of tips about doing the photo lamination. But I will say this: I can't remember who it was. It was somebody. It was somebody who's probably on the chat who told me that photo lamination is not as good as a contest level model, and I think it was a he, maybe a she, but I think it was a he, was absolutely right. These are not competition level models, but they're fun to build, and everything on, was it Alan McClelland who said good enough? Well, that was his, they have to build everything to a good enough standard. This is good enough in my view. It's a lot of fun. It goes pretty quickly, and it's a good representation of the original. And so I highly recommend it. Thank you, JD. My next photo lamination project is going to be in some ways, a little more ambitious. It's going to be a place in Etna, Pennsylvania, again, quite close to my house, called Hunt's Tavern. And the reason it's a great subject for that is because it has some crazy artwork of a cartoon turtle for turtles, advertising turtle soup. I've eaten once at Hunt's Tavern, and it was really bad, really greasy. I think it was around this time of year, around Lent, and they had a fish special, and my wife and I were really excited, highly rated on Yelp. Oh, wasn't very good. And it's kind of one of those classic Pittsburgh bars with very few windows. It's got a window unit air conditioner. One side of the building connects to another, so I'm going to have to totally freelance that side of the building. It's also built into a hillside, so the back of the building is 2-story. The front is 1-story. I'm going to convert it into a 1-story structure. So I'll have to make a few changes, but it's all for the sake of that artwork and that cartoon turtle, which is so cool. But I'll have to get my hello, Randall Ellison, good to see you. But I'll have to get my drone up to get pictures of the roof like I had of this building. So let me exit live view here, and we'll take one quick look at a picture of the side of the actual coffee shop, if I have that on here. Here we go. So here you can kind of see how the word coffee and the word 151 stand proud from the surface. So that's what I'm going to do to give it a little more. Oh, and I've never noticed this before. I guess this is a antenna of some sort. I don't know what that is on the roof. I'm going to have to double check my shots of the roof. I don't know what that is. You can see the outline of the state of Texas, and 151 in the front of the building is flush. It's even inside the glass frames. So that's done. I don't think I have to do anything about that. But I thought it would help here. Then I do plan to build a base for the structure that includes these stanchions to control traffic. And then if anybody knows of, any 3D printed umbrellas and chairs and things, I'll have to start looking for those. I think I have a few HO scale chairs and whatnot, but I'd want to buy all matching ones to go in the front of this building. And there's also a drive-up menu, so I'm gonna have to build that. Now, I don't have great pictures of that, but big news on the personal front is my wife and I are now grandparents. We had a grandson born in Texas a couple of days ago. And so we're going to obviously be going back down to Texas. I'm going to be going by this coffee shop because it's not too far away from Angelo's Hobby Shop, where I got a lot of friends. And so I need to go out there on a weekend, and so I can take pictures of the menu board. And whatever else I think I need. But honestly, I think this is pretty close. Build that gutter, few surface embellishments, be good to go. So a lot of fun. Yeah, thanks, John. Okay, bistro sets. Thank you, Steve 87th. I'll look at those. I will look at those. Yeah, Black Rifle Coffee. Yeah, I'd forgotten about them, Anthony. Yes, that would be cool. That would be cool. That's a. I've never had their coffee, but they do have distinctive shops. I don't know how excited I am about the grandson. You know, I guess when he gets old enough to appreciate trains, I should start sending Thomas stuff immediately. I realize to encourage that, but his father is super athletic, played college football, can dunk a basketball. He's in incredible shape. But he did do modeling with me when he was younger, and the younger son really didn't do it as much as John, the eldest, did. So there's a chance that this grandson will be a modeler. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm sure I will enjoy that and him. I wish they lived closer. So that's the 151 project update. Now the next and last, we're running right up at 9 o'clock. I'm going to run a little bit over, but I want to show you one more thing, and then we can call it quits. Right, JD. Send the wooden Thomas so he can play with them. Yeah, I've already sent him a toy car from a company that's like, it's in the UK. It's like Forever Toys, so it's supposed to be indestructible. I like the onesie idea. I just don't know whether I want to be called Grand Pop or not. I haven't figured that out. I know that I don't want any kid calling me Bob. So, so we'll see. His mother is Filipino, and so it may be that I think the word for grandpa in Filipino is Lolo, and the grandma's Lola, or maybe vice versa. I don't know. But I knew somebody once who was called Kilo. Grandmother was called Kilo because of kilogram. She didn't want to be called Gram, so they called her Kilo. I like that. I'm a word nut, so play on words is always good. Okay, let's go here. I want to talk about this pedestrian crossing. Now, I see this pedestrian crossing every day when I come here to the shop. And this is what this looks like. It's a crossing the NS main line. There's no lights. There's no signaling. I don't even know if the railroad blows the horn for this crossing. But it is their crossing. I've seen railroad employees out there inspecting it and looking at it. So it is an official crossing. And to my mind, this would be a great place. This would be a great thing to put on your layout almost anywhere. If you had a housing development, in this case, there's a street back there with housing on it, and then the Allegheny River. And so this is access for the people who live back there to quickly walk down to the street, cross over, and go to the grocery store and the other shops that are kind of behind me when I was taking this picture. So it could go on a very narrow part of your layout. You could just have simulating. It could be a small part of a shelf layout, where the backdrop is quite close to the railroad, and you could just simulate houses in the back, or maybe put a trailer park back there where people would need access. And the signage would be cool, would give it a place. So I did take a bunch of pictures of this. There's a little bit further back view. There's the stairs. That would be great to have that going up the ballast of your roadbed. Yeah, this looks good. I got to say, it's pretty interesting. There's the shot of the signage, or you can see the how they've, and you can see the path going off to the street, and my white truck, parked down there at the end. And here's the shot looking down the track in one direction. I don't see any sign for the railroad, although I may not have a far enough view to see that. And there's the view down the other way. I don't see anything between the rails with signaling. I don't see any signage down the railroad to indicate this crossing. So it would just be the crossing itself. And here's looking the other way. So very simple to do. And I'll show you an overhead view. I did get my drone out here. So here's an overhead view of that crossing. Now that I'm looking at this, maybe they're planning on making some changes here. They've done some spray paint marking around the around this, and so sorry, I was trying to get that so you could see further down in the picture, but I won't overdo it. But you can see there's some spray painted markings around there. So oh, Mike, that's amazing. You've got to give me more information about that. Email me on my about page. I'm sure my email address is out there, and I've got to have those instructions. Thank you, sir. I struggled. I couldn't find anything on there. That's awesome. That is awesome. All right, Mike. Thanks. I really appreciate that. All right. So while I have a few other things on my topic list, I'm going to start calling this a day. And as usual, I thank everybody for participating. I'm not signing off just yet, but thanks for tolerating my failure to watch the comments. Yeah, I don't know, Ray. Maybe they are putting the road through. That's a good thought. That would be a major change. There's not much down there on the other side of that crossing. You know, on the one side is all that commercial development on the one side of the street. On the other side of that main street is Freeport Road. Pretty big thoroughfare. Runs on this side of the Allegheny for a long way. And my shop is right on Freeport Road as well, just a couple of miles further down. There's not much on the other side there, except that one little street with a few nondescript houses. It's not like there's a fancy housing development or something on the other side that would justify putting the road through. But you're right, that is quite wide. It looks like they've written on the gravel one call with an arrow in 4 locations around there on that picture. I don't know what that means. So I guess we'll see. I guess when I saw all those guys in hard hats at that location, it may have been more significant than I realized. And it might change, get more complicated, and be less modelable. But I think it is really modelable. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate that. Hey, Ken, I did not see you here earlier. I apologize. I hope you're doing well, sir. Still remember meeting you at Ray's. Great memories. Yeah, next time maybe a duck. I don't know. We'll see, James. You don't know how stubborn I am. I don't know that I want to change technology, but I might. I just don't like that duck. I'd have to pay to get rid of the duck logo. And as you know, in retirement, I'm a little reluctant to spend money needlessly. So I really appreciate everybody. Thank you, Joe. Thanks. I think the 151 coffee shop is coming along pretty nicely. It needs a little cleanup. And I'm considering laminating some black paper strips on the corners to cover up where the photographs come together, and there's kind of a little bit of a raggedy edge there. I might just laminate a strip of paper that's folded around the corner, looks like a frame of the windows, but covers up that joint. I think that might be in the future. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm still obviously one of the newbies in the Sidetrack Sunday crew when it comes to live streaming tech. At least I got my kind of over the shoulder shot perfected, and I could actually do that today. So I feel like that was a real accomplishment. It's kind of jackleg because I couldn't get Prism Live to recognize my DSLR as a video source, even though it is streaming into the PC. So I had to actually just use the monitor feed to capture it, but I think it worked okay, except for the normal Panasonic focusing issues. Panasonic has crappy focusing. But again, I'm a contrarian. Why would I get Canon or Sony, which have much better focusing, when I can get Panasonic? So, at any rate. So, good night, Ken. Good night, Randall. Thanks, Ray, for that reminder. Yes, Ray Bobel will have this next Sunday. Let us know what we can do to help you if you have any issues or you need maybe somebody to be on the stream with you, Ray, whatever you need, because I know you've got a lot of these back to back. You've done quite a few. That's your penalty for being the STS Godfather. So, okay, John, thanks. I see the count is signing off, and I am going to sign off too. But I really appreciate everybody who was in the chat and who watched this. Thank you. That being a host for this is very inspirational. It really gets my butt in gear, and so I appreciate the motivation. And I hope you've learned something, and maybe been encouraged a little bit by my own enthusiasm about these projects. Until next time, I'm signing off. Thanks again for your patronage of Sidetrack Sunday. Take care.